Well, weren't you locked up with OJ when you were in
No,
LA?
I was on the same tier that he was on, but he came in just as I left.
Aha.
Yeah.
Okay, and you were there with the Menendez brothers.
Menendez brothers, yeah. And the Ninja Killers. I was on death row.
The Ninja Killers?
Yeah.
Well, who
It was
were they?
two Jewish guys that killed their parents in Calabasas or someplace.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is not the Menendez brothers. You're talking about someone else.
It's separate, but they were there at the same time.
Okay. The Menendez brothers case is actually pretty interesting. I don't know how deeply you dug into this. Did you know them at all? Did you hang out with them?
I was with them for 11 months.
Oh, so you were actually with them.
I was with them in the hole, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that case is interesting because they would have gotten away with it. Except one of them decided to meet with a therapist and admitted to all the murders.
Yes.
To the murder of his parents, to the therapist,
That was Erik.
thinking that, doctor-patient privilege would prevent him from actually going to the authorities. But then he started to threaten the therapist. Said, I'll kill you if you ever say anything. And that allowed him a loophole to say, well, since I'm being threatened, I can now go to the authorities and give them this privileged information. Which ultimately got them all arrested, and they're still sitting in prison to this day. Have you ever heard? I mean, it was almost like a Tony Soprano kind of situation. Like,
well, that was engineered by the older brother, Lyle. There was, I think, 2 years separated the two of them, Lyle and Erik. Erik was the weaker of the two, and Lyle was kind of the one that, put all of this together. And I'll tell you a story. They were together on that tier, right, in lockdown. And then there was some nonsense that they were planning an escape. So they moved one brother out. They moved Erik out, and Lyle, the older brother, is there. Now, we both had a lot of visits. I had a lot of visits, right? So whenever I would go with them to a visit, with the two of them, they would handcuff us and shackle us, and we would have to walk through population, through the hospital and everything. When we walked through, Menendez brothers, we're going to get you, you parent killers. We're going to kill you when you get inside.
So they were hated in there.
Oh, yeah. It was a lot of stuff like that, right?
Okay.
So now what happens is they move one of the brothers out, and they take me and Lyle together. So now they don't know. I'm a white guy. I'm kind of young back then. I was in my 30s, right? And they think I'm one of the Menendez brothers. So now they're saying, you two Menendez brothers, we're going to kill you. We're going to. So I grabbed a hold of the CO and I said, hey, I got enough trouble being Michael Franzese. Don't put me with him anymore. Because
don't make me a Menendez on top of it. Yeah.
I said, if they attack us, what are we going to do? We're shackled and everything. So they said, okay, Mike. And they moved him ahead of me. They wouldn't put us together. Yeah.
Did they ever tell you about the situation in conversations?
They talked to me all the time about their case because they knew I had a little bit of knowledge. Okay. And, they claimed 1,000% innocent. Their father was a molester, no doubt about it, according to them. And, I listened to them, and whenever they asked me stuff, I was with them 11 months. So, and they, every day. They were meeting with their lawyers every day. They had a lot of activity going on. But, Erik, I knew, was a poor soul. He was brought into this thing. His brother just overpowered him with that. But Lyle was manipulative.
Well, yeah. They claimed that their dad was molesting him.
Yeah.
And there's something came up recently, I guess, backing up these claims. I guess a letter that they had written to someone or something.
Yeah.
Something came up. Whether or not that happened or not, they walked into the living room with shotguns and blew their parents' heads off.
Yeah.
And I think
father
they actually,
and mother.
Yeah, the mother and the father.
Yes.
The mother didn't have nothing to do with it, but
Nothing.
I guess, I guess they say that she enabled the father or something. Who the hell knows? But then I think they went to the car and reloaded and came back and finished the job.
Did it again.
And did it again.
And they tried to blame the mob. They said it was a mafia.
It was a mafia hit, right? And I guess when the police showed up, they just assumed the kids had nothing to do with it.
Yes.
So they didn't even investigate them at all.
Not at all.
It was just like, oh, these two poor young men, and they started like spending the money crazy.
Spending money. They weren't in mourning,
No.
Right away they started, living a high lifestyle.
Yes.
They was just not smart.
Yeah. Whether he was molested or not, I don't think that was a justification for what happened.
No, of course.
Do you think they were molested based on what you heard?
I heard things about the father because he was in the entertainment industry, that he was very domineering. He had that kind of personality. I think there might have been some truth to that. I don't know if it was to the extent that they claimed it was, because they created this whole narrative. But there might have been some truth to it. Maybe he was very domineering and caused them to do some embarrassing things. I don't know. But, it was the only defense they had.
It's interesting how you said how the other prisoners hated them for killing their parents. Is that, because I've heard like child molesters, for example, are, if you put them in if you put them in general population, they get torn apart.
Gone.
That's why they have to be in PC.
Yes.
But I've never heard the thing about killing their parents. So are they treated the same as child molesters, or?
Not normally. For some reason, they got on the bad side of people in there. I don't know.
It was very high profile.
Yeah.
The Menendez case was,
very.
I mean, that happened before the OJ case, I think.
Oh, yeah.
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 So it was like the OJ case, the Menendez brothers almost set the stage for the OJ case in terms of this huge, nationally televised, everyone has an opinion about it, everyone's getting to see it.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm sure there's other parent killers and mother killers, but no one's as famous as the Menendez brothers for doing it.
It was huge. It's funny. My wife told me she was in a market with my son. So my son when they used to come to visit me, he was a kid, he was young. And Lyle and Erik used to be next to me in the visiting room, right? Mm-hmm. And so she's in the market and there's a magazine there with Lyle and Erik on the cover. And my son goes, "Hey, Mommy, there's Daddy's friends." And my wife is like, "Don't say that." Oh, she's throwing a magazine. Everybody was looking at him and her, and so she turned the magazine over. "Come on, let's get out of here."
Funny.